So, you want to become a better video editor that gets lots of clients? Well, these are the 5 lessons that, when implemented, will not only help you become a better video editor that gets lots of clients, but will also help you level up as a person. So, today we're going to be working on Iman Gadzhi's book animation that you guys just saw. Let's not waste any time and let's jump into Davinci Resolve. All right, so once you guys are in Davinci, I just have the Iman clip that we're going to be following along to, and I have it segmented out into different parts. I have the paper airplane part, I have the book animation, and I have the level up book flip. This is kind of how we're going to be breaking down this video into 3 different parts right there. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to figure out what the frame rate of your clip is that you're playing around with. In this case, it's 25 frames per second. We can figure that out by clicking on any clip, coming up into the inspector and hitting file, and it tells you the frame rate right here. When you guys download the clip, it might be something different, so make sure you check. That way you can follow along properly. Next thing you're gonna do is we're gonna grab a Fusion comp. We can't just grab it from here because I'm not sure what the frame rate of that is. So what we're gonna do is we're going to right click and hit new Fusion composition, and then you're going to hit your frame rate, which is 25 frames per second. All right, so I actually already have a Fusion comp, so I'll bring that in here to the timeline. We're just going to stretch it out to the length of Iman's clip. As you can see, I have some markers separating the different sections of Iman's video. This is going to be really helpful in the Fusion page. So if you guys want to put up some markers on here for your video too, just make sure you just hit M on your keyboard anywhere you want a marker. Don't select any clips and just hit M. It'll pop a marker right up here. You can label it and everything if you double click on it. Now we're going to jump into Fusion. And the first thing that we're going to do is you're going to see that I have a different setup than you guys most likely. In order to get this setup, it's called mid-flow. You're going to want to pop up here to workspace, go to layout presets, Fusion presets, and then mid-flow. Click that guy and then it should set you up like this. It's just going to be helpful for following along in the video. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually bring in a media in node. So we're going to hit shift spacebar. Anytime we're bringing in a node in this video, just hit shift spacebar. You should be able to bring it in. Type in media and grab media in, hit enter, connect this to media out, and we're going to change the media source from timeline to background. And now you're going to see Iman's clip pop up on the screen because this brings in anything on this timeline right now that's under this clip will be present on the media out node. So once we have that, we're just going to make sure that we're naming everything. Oh, name this Iman clip. Okay, so once we have the Iman clip in here, now we're going to start bringing some stuff in. All this stuff is going to be listed down below in the description for you guys, so that way you can download it and follow along. First thing that we're looking for is the front cover. I got it labeled here as snakeskin book cover. So make sure you look for the front cover. We're just going to merge that in. And next thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring in a transform node. So hit shift space and type in transform. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to just get this book to the same size as this book. So I'm going to disable this merge for a sec. So I'm going to hit Control P on my keyboard. Then I'm going to just look at a frame where the book stops moving and it's completely still on the table. So frame 65 is fine. Any other frame that you see like that is fine as well. Now I'm going to re-enable this merge with Control P, or you can just select it back on here. And we're going to change the size of our book. Now we're going to change down the blend so that way we can see our book below it, and come back into the transform. And then you're just going to want it roughly about the same size as the book here. Okay, so if I bring up the blend, you're going to see that our books are not the same size. If you want to get your book exactly the same size, you can crank up the transform and you can actually bring in a rectangle mask, and this will give you full control, so that way you can change the width You can change the height of it and just change the position until you have it exactly how you want it. You can right click and hit save image. So let me make sure it's good. Looks good. Okay, I'll hit save image. We'll go to where it is. We'll do our make sure you change the file to PNG. I forgot, you're going to need to disable Iman's clip. So disable is in a background above Iman's clip, and we'll just quickly change this with Control T to make it so that way the background is the background and the book cover is in the foreground. So what we're going to do is jump into this background, change the alpha value all the way down, go ahead and do exactly what we were just doing and save the image as snakeskin book cover. All right, and then you can go ahead and bring in the image from File Explorer. So I'm just gonna bring it in here. So we're gonna have number 4. We don't need number 2 anymore, so we can get rid of that one. So I'll delete the front cover. And all right, so now that we have the new front cover, we can go ahead and bring that into Fusion. So just drag and drop it from File Explorer. I already did. And we can delete the old one right here and just bring the new one on in. So snakeskin book cover 4, and we'll just drag that. We're not going to need this transform. We will need it for something else. So make sure you just disconnect it by holding space or shift and clicking on it, dragging it out of the way. So we'll rename this guy and we'll name it book cover. Okay, so we got that. And now we're going to do the same thing with the pages of the book. So we'll come over here to the upgraded book page. That's what I got it named. We'll connect that to merge. These are the same size, or they were the same size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to drag it in between the book page and the merge, and then just connect this rectangle mask to the media in. And now we can do the same exact thing. We can right click on this image, we can go to where we're going to save it, and now we have the upgraded book page 2. Hit PNG, hit save. Now we should be able to get rid of this transform. We'll bring a new one in, start fresh. We'll get rid of this node because we don't need this anymore. We'll get rid of our upgraded book page PNG and bring in our new one. So I got our new one right here. I'll bring that in and we can connect it. Type in book underscore page. All right. And now once you have that, we're going to start the actual process. We're going to disconnect these two nodes for now, but just keep them in here. I'll move it above the pipeline. We won't need these for a little bit. And now we're going to actually start working on this clip. Come over and we're just going to work on getting the pages to flip. Really going to do the back of the cover because when you flip a page, it's kind of almost like the page turns over. So copy these two nodes here. We're going to Control C, Control V. And we're just going to get it in our pipeline by holding shift and just let go of it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to rename this guy with F2 and we'll name it book cover underscore back. Transform in front of here, so shift spacebar transform. And now what we're going to do is we're going to flip the image. Like I was saying, the back of this cover is kind of just a flipped image. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these side by side with one another. It might work out better if we just disable Iman's clip for now. So we'll just disable it so we can just see our book. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to move our book cover so that way they are just touching each other. So that's pretty good. That should probably work. 0.674 looks like. You can get really fine and precise and throw some really small numbers in here. Feel free. This is going to be a long tutorial though, so I want to make sure we stay on track. So what you're going to want to do is now we're going to create that flip animation of the page. So what we're going to do to create that is we're going to bring in a rectangle mask, and we're going to disable this merge real quick just so we see one of the book covers. And then we're going to adjust it and just make it the same size as the book. I suppose we could have just left the one that we had in earlier for this part, but we didn't. So just adjust it so that way you get the size of the book. Be pretty precise with this. A little bit of space on top, but there's also a little bit of space on the bottom. So let's see if we can clear that up. All right, good. Now we just need those two sides. It looks like there's a little bit of space, so we can just move this over here. All right, so pretty good. So now what we're going to do with this guy is we're actually going to be setting some keyframes. So this is where we're going to bring back up Iman's clip, and we're going to disable all our merges except for this one. We're going to start with when the page starts turning. So on frame 71, right before it starts turning, we're going to be setting some keyframes, both on the transform and this rectangle mask. So keyframe the center value, keyframe the size, angle. That's going to make this thing move. Same thing with this guy. We're going to do the center value, and that's really it for this guy. So then what we're going to do is we're going to find out when the first page flip finishes. Frame 102, page flip finishes. So we keyframe the center again, frame all these values on the transform, and now we're gonna get our first page flip in. So what we're gonna do to get this page flip is, first off, we are going to bring back these merges, bring it back to the start, and just connect this merge to both of our merges here. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to go to the last keyframe of our rectangle mask, and we're going to disable Iman Gadzhi's clip again, and we're just going to move this rectangle mask so that way we don't see this rectangle anymore. So yet again, be very precise with this. Get some really small numbers here so that way we can get rid of all this red. See if that covers it. That got it. So now what we're going to do is we are going to bring in our transform so that way you can see our book cover now. So now we're going to bring this to the other edge on this side. All right, so I like to hold control or hold command key on Mac and select the rectangle as well, so that way I can see both the transform and the rectangle at the same time. And then I'll just pin the transform and click on the rectangle, and then I can see the border of everything. So we'll just go into the transform and we'll just drag this guy to where we see the edge, and we'll get up real close, get it nice and precise. All right, so now we got this, and now you're going to see that we have a book flip animation, assuming we have all the nodes set up properly. So, yep, if we play through here, book comes over, flips. Okay, so we got one flip done, and now we're going to essentially be doing that for the rest of the pages too. There's a certain way that you need to set up the nodes. So we're going to come down here, we're going to make some space for some other stuff, and I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to highlight all the nodes we got here, and I'm going to hit shift space and type in underlay. This is just going to be a way of grouping our different nodes, because things are going to be getting confusing in here once we have a million of them. So hit F2 on your underlay and type in book front cover. Hold enter till this all goes away. You can set the color to something nice, orange. Boom, make it colorful. So now we're going to do the same exact thing with the book page. So we're going to come up to where we had our book page from before. We're going to bring this thing down, and now we're just going to connect it to the pipeline. As you can see, we have a whole nother node in here that's creating the book page. So we'll come back and you'll see that this is going to distort the way our book flip looks now. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you change this book page to the background so that way it's underneath this page that's right here right now. So go to this merge, hit Control T on it, and now the book page should be underneath. So we can go ahead and see our animation that we just made. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing with the page. So the first thing I want to do is get our text on this page. So we can do the same thing, come into the Iman clip. We can go back and look at what his text is. So I'll just go ahead and disable our book cover for now. We got 5 lessons to be a millionaire. I'll put this in the second viewer so that way we can see this at all times. So I'll go ahead and re-enable this merge. So we got 5 lessons to be a millionaire. So I'll put this on our front cover and I'll expand this a little bit and move the book page down, expand this a little bit, and we'll just bring in a text node. So a text plus node will work. We'll bring this into the merge and we'll just type in 5 lessons be a millionaire. All right, and then I'm not going to really go over font styles too much with you guys. You guys can pick out a nice font that you guys like. Let's say, for instance, that you like this Palace one. Ideally, you want to look for a font that has both a regular and a bold version of it. We'll just get something nice. We got something with 2 different versions. Yeah, so we'll just go with Open Sans. I made it with a different font in the beginning of the video, but we'll start off with the bold version of it. And now what we're going to do is right click on our text, go to character level styling, and you can come up to modifiers. So what we'll do here is we are just going to make the text different sizes. So I'm going to go to just highlight the 5 and we're going to make this guy quite a bit bigger. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to go into the layout tab and position the text exactly how we want it on the book. So maybe something about right here. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to change all the line spacing. So make sure you go to the modifiers tab, go to line spacing, and we will readjust everything. So come to tools, layout, and readjust where the position of everything is. And now I'll select lessons. I don't want that 5 there. So figure out where you can just select lessons. It seems to be grabbing that 5 pretty good. And now this is where I would probably make this text maybe bold instead of extra bold, and then I'll just bump it down just a little bit. Now we can make our final adjustment to be a million. We'll just make this in regular and we'll make this one super small. So we'll just make it something like that. We'll even make it bigger than Iman's so that way you can read it. If you want, you can go through, do shading, put like a nice drop shadow on here. You know, just play around with different stuff in here till you get something that you like. Make it super light. Just makes it stand out a bit more, the text on there. Oh, now we have that, but what you're going to see is when the page flips, the text still stays here on the screen. So what we need to do is we actually need to make this text both for the front cover and then the back of the front cover. So I'm going to disconnect this by holding shift, and then we're just going to put this merge right up here and change the position of it and move this rectangle guy over here so we don't get confused. And I'm actually going to just merge in this text even right with this book cover. So I'll merge it on in here. So this will be the front cover version of lesson. goes off the page. Now we'll do the same thing with the back. So I'll go ahead and copy this, paste it, bring this merge right in here. Looks like we're running out of room in here, so I'll just expand it a little bit. Move this over a bit, move this over a bit more, and now I'm going to connect the text again. Let's see if I can get away with it just putting it right here. Yep, so it kind of disappears off the screen. I forgot, we need it before the transform. So go ahead and just move this merge to before the transform. And let's try connecting it here, see if that makes a difference. We have the book page flip. Okay, so perfect. So that's exactly what we needed. Now the text is completely backwards. So that's perfect. That's what we're looking for. Now we're going to copy everything onto the second page. So we're going to come down here, just spread everything out because you saw how much room that kind of took for everything. We're going to jump in here and we're going to steal some of the nodes that we have. So basically, I'm just going to do a full copy of everything. So I'll copy, I'll come down here, I'll paste it, and you know what? We'll get rid of this merge because we don't even need it. We're going to disconnect the book page and reconnect this merge to the media out. So I'm just going to make the background for now, just because this is a little bit distracting. So I'm going to make it black, and I'm going to change this to foreground, so that way the background's in the foreground, and we don't need to see Iman's clip, we can just see it over here. So now we're going to focus on the second page flip. So let's connect our merge nodes into this pipeline. So let's just connect everything. And so I'm going to hold shift and just connect it. Make sure it's connected, and it did not connect. So let me just grab this, connect this here, connect this guy to the media out. So now we have the same exact copy of what's above. So what we're going to do is we're just going to place the book cover nodes with the book page nodes. So I'll just delete this and I'll paste in here the book page, and then I'll take this other book page. You can rename the book page backside book page if you want to. I don't think it really matters for this. I'm going to remember kind of what's going on here. Hopefully. Now I'm going to change the text that we got here. We're going to change it to 1. And let's see what the first one is. So we got 1. I'm going to copy this. 1. And we can just redo everything because we're going to need the 1 to be big. And then we're going to need the don't be afraid to try making money in different ways. So don't be afraid to try making money in different ways. Okay, so we got making money on a new line, different ways on a new line. And now we can go set a modifier. Okay, we can go to modifiers. We can select what we need. Disconnect this for now, just so we can bring this up on the screen. And now we're going to highlight the 1. This is going to be the big shining star. We're going to change all these back to like the regular font, and we'll just change the size. Oh, I selected the 1, so that's not what we wanted. We don't want the 1 to be selected. Just want to change the size of these, so go to regular, change the size way down, something like that. That should be fine. We need some line spacing, so go to modifiers, line spacing. All right, and that's going to kind of help us just separate from the top line. Now I can go ahead, reconnect this text to the merges, and we can bring media out back up on the screen. So text still isn't small enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the text again. So let me bring that up on the screen and just make it smaller. that should fit now. So bring media out back. Perfect. So that's close enough to what we're looking for. And we have it so it flipped. The second page, it becomes black. So you can go in here, you can change it to black. Boom. All right, so now we got everything. Everything's starting to come together, but we're missing that front page. So in order to get that front page, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to bring in a wireless link node. So I'm going to hit Shift Spacebar, type in wireless link. We're going to connect this to our merge here. And then with our wireless link, if you guys never used one of these before, it essentially just acts as another node, whatever node you drag into it and all the stuff beforehand. So I'm going to drag this merge into the wireless link node. So grab this merge, bring it in, and now we're going to have our front cover again. So that should flip. And we actually want this potentially in the background. So, and now we want to see the front cover. So you got to play around with these merges right here. One of them needs to be in the foreground. The other needs to be in the background. Okay, so I think we might have figured it out. Let's find out. Oops, so that might not be it. Let me see what this one does. If we bring this one to the... Okay, so it might be like this. I almost forgot we have to come into the actual keyframes before we can see any change. So let's change the keyframes. So I'm going to come to frame 90. Page 1 starts turning. So we need to change all the keyframes so that way when we come in here, page 1 is going to turn at this frame. So just change everything. So just move everything forward. Okay, so now we're gonna we should be able to see everything that we just did. So we come over here, we have the first page flip, we have the second page flip, but the merges are backwards. So let's see if we can switch these and get a clearer picture to what's going on. So I've pinpointed the problem on why we can't see the page flip. It's actually because of this Iman clip here. So we need to actually hold shift and just remove it from the pipeline entirely. And then also make the black background that we had, make the alpha all the way down to 0. And make sure the background is connected to the background input of the first merge. And you should be able to see the page flip as long as you have every merge node set up correctly. So the top merge is going to be having a foreground input from up top and a background coming in from the side. And then you're going to want to connect the output to the background in the next merge and have the foreground coming in from the back cover of the page. Then the foreground go into the next merge with the background being the wireless link. And this is going to be the same setup every time, so you can always refer back to your nodes that are further up in the food chain essentially. So yeah, let's move on to the next one just so you guys get this under your belt and understand what I'm saying. So we are going to just drop this in here and we're going to create another underlay. So this one we are going to name the book page flip, or book page 1 we'll say, and then just hold enter. And now we're going to come down here. We're going to move the media out node. And so the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to go back into the keyframes on this page flip. And we're just going to make sure that the animation finishes when page 1 finishes. So let's come in here. Let's look at what frame page 1 comes through. So around 112 is the keyframes that we're going to be setting for the final keyframe. So just come in here and zoom everything to fit. And we can even zoom in a little bit further. And we're just going to change this last keyframe to about 112, and we'll do that with all these guys right here too. All right, so that's going to make the animation happen a little bit sooner. Now we're going to actually move on to the next page flip. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all these nodes. We're going to paste them in below. And the very first thing that we're going to need to do is first connect everything. So connect everything back up. The next thing we're going to do is we're not going to see anything on the screen. That's because this wireless link is our background at the bottom of the pipeline. It needs to have something in this input. So every single time you go to a new page, you're going to be taking from the previous page's wireless link or the previous page's merge, because all wireless link does is essentially it just connects this merge to right here. It's all wireless link is. So it's just a way of making it more organized. So we're going to grab the wireless link and we're going to drag it in this merge. Then you're going to see stuff pop up on the screen. You're going to realize that this is not what we want. We want a number 2. So we'll go to our text. We'll highlight this. We'll type in 2. We'll change the text. We'll come in here and we'll type in, you have personal problems. And we'll make this on the second line, problems manifesting in, oh, and it's going to change around our font. Apparently it doesn't like us very much, so we'll come in here. There probably wasn't another line, so in your business, and then we'll bring this up on the screen for a sec. It just makes it easier to highlight. Things highlighted, bring it down to regular, see what our other font is, 0.021. 0.021. All right, so everything's the same. We can go ahead and bring in our media out back up on the screen. Now we have page 2. So we got lesson 5, lesson 1, lesson 2. Okay, so we kind of got the whole shebang here. Now what we can do is we're going to come in and essentially just change up all the keyframe values, because that's all we really need to do all throughout for the rest of the book until we get to the back cover. So I'll go ahead and walk you through one more keyframe and then I'll let you guys loose and we'll come back when we're all done. So let's figure out when page 2 flips. So it's going to be right around frame 109, it starts flipping. So let's move these keyframes. Boom. All right, so let's see when it's page 2 stops flipping. 134, 133, doesn't really matter, same thing. So we will just adjust these keyframes, make them on 134, I'm gonna go with. So we got that. Now we can play it back and we have this. All right, so we got the first 2 pages. For the rest of the pages, it's going to be the same exact process, same exact thing. So I'm going to skip to when all that's done and come back there. Oh, I just realized one really important thing that I forgot to mention before. Um, these rectangle masks also have to not only be connected to the first 2 merges, but they also have to be connected to your wireless link node. Otherwise, you're going to end up seeing page 2 again after page 2 already turned over. So make sure you connect all these rectangle masks to the wireless link node, and then you shouldn't have that issue. All right, so I'm back. I got all the pages done. Now what you need to do is you need to come in and just make everything a bit more smooth. So we're just going to highlight essentially everything on here that has keyframe, and we're going to go to the spline tab. We're going to hit select all tools. We're going to zoom to fit, and we're just going to flatten everything out. So we're going to hit F on our keyboard, or sorry, Control A, click here, Control A, and then F. So That's just going to make everything a bit smoother. And then we're going to go the extra mile. We're going to hit T on our keyboard and then just type in 60 in this first field. And then we're going to make the second one 80 just to make things a bit smoother. You can tweak these values to get the exact smoothness that Iman has in his video. But you know what? We're just going for that smooth, crisp feel. And this is definitely going to do the trick. So let me play this back and let's see what we got. All right, so that's it. If you guys played with this animation before, you saw how it went from not being smooth to now being a lot smoother. All right, so that's how you flip a book Iman Gadzhi style in Davinci Resolve. I want to flip my way to 10K subscribers, and I can only do it with your help. So flip that subscribe button and flip that like button. Click it in. Let's get to 10K.